if the heater just went low or my headphones just went on.
No, I think the heater went low. Everybody go low, 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 low. Oh, fuck, I didn't realise we were recording. Oops.
Well, welcome to our 7th episode of Disorganized Detectives.
This is pretty organised for us.
Yes.
This is pretty good. I'm impressed.
Impressed that we've got nearly three episodes out today.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Well, today we're back in Australia. We're in...
I actually didn't leave.
We went to Indiana.
Yeah, but I didn't.
We didn't leave Australia.
I was here the whole time.
Mentally, we are back in Australia. In Victoria. In Collingwood.
Oh, we're in Collingwood.
We're in Collingwood.
I hope they have all their teeth.
Well... No.
Oh, is this the one that with the sports ball
Yeah,
reference that
the
you were
sports
really
ball.
proud of?
Well, it's literally like a line. Just one line. But yes, so
Sports ball.
sports ball in Collingwood. This case has nothing to do with sports ball, but it's in Collingwood. So in October, this is the Easey Street murders.
Oh, yep. Gotcha.
You know them?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of our friends on Snapchat the other day, I couldn't think of another case to research, and he'd just gone to the footy, and then they were on Easey Street,
Yeah.
and he took a photo of the sign.
the Easey
And I was
Street.
like, that's what we're doing. And he's a Collingwood supporter.
Oh, of course he's a Collingwood
Yeah.
supporter. Gross.
Doing very happy
Was
yesterday.
it yesterday that he went to the footy? Because
He
I
was
went,
at the footy yesterday.
I went to the footy yesterday. We will not be talking about that because I am not a Collingwood supporter.
I know a lot of Collingwood supporters.
Yeah, they're all feral.
My nan's a Collingwood supporter.
Feral.
My poor little nan.
You know, as we were saying, the one thing that What's-His-Face could change about Catherine Knight would be that she's not violent and then she'd be perfect.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to change about Beck is that she's a Collingwood supporter. The one thing. If it weren't for that, perfect. However, she's a Collingwood supporter. That takes that 10 to a 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we just don't talk sports ball.
In the house.
Unless we go to the footy, and then if Melbourne lose, we just don't talk.
Oh, no.
Yep. Which happened yesterday.
We've got a lot
Obviously.
of Collingwood supporters.
And they're all feral, including your
Well,
nan.
yeah. Poor nan.
Poor nan.
Nan, my uncle.
My dad and my grandma, no, my grandpa and my dad are also
Collingwood.
Collingwood supporters. Very disappointing.
Jay's Sydney.
Yeah, that's even more disappointing.
It's weird. Like, he's lived in Melbourne his whole life. But he
Also,
goes to Sydney.
their red is a really ugly red, and it's a fucking swan.
I thought he's going to, like, walk in and be like, what the fuck? I don't know if you heard that.
Swans are not manly.
But yes, we're a Sydney house. I think I'm converting.
2,
Sydney.
sports ball.
Sports ball. Like, I'm not interested in sports ball. But I've just, like, everyone in my life is. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to be.
Well, my poor son doesn't have a choice.
No.
Because every single week, without fail, we watch the sports ball. I had to start paying for KO, the sports subscription thing, because when we moved into the new house, we didn't have the antenna. So you can't watch normal telly. You can only watch
And a lot of it's
streaming.
on Foxtel.
Well, it's on Foxtel,
Yeah.
but like any of the games that are normally on Channel 7 or whatever, you can't watch them on 7 Plus or 9 now. If they're normally on Channel 7, they don't stream it on those because they don't have the rights to the streaming of it, only for the live like live air TV.
You should get Foxtel. It's
Oh,
like,
I just have the KO because then it's on my phone and I'm sitting on the train and I can watch the sports ball.
well, Foxtel you can get on your phone.
Well, I've got KO already,
Well,
so,
yeah.
you know.
Well, Jay doesn't like KO.
Well, I've got the KO so that I can watch the sports balls, but I won't be watching Sydney. Anyway, I think that's enough footy chat because that's a very niche subject.
yeah, unless you're in
Only
Australia.
the Aussies will get it.
Yeah. Maybe mainly I feel like I feel like obviously Melbourne is the biggest football state.
Well, it used to be called the VFL, not the AFL.
Oh, that's true.
The Victorian Football League. It is a sport that originated in Victoria only.
It did, and then it moved elsewhere.
Well, they just wanted to be included. The rest of the country. Sports ball.
Poor Jay's just pacing around the house because he's not allowed to make noise or watch TV while we record. Because otherwise you'll be able to hear. He's watching Ozark at the moment.
Oh.
Yeah. I do like the guy that's in it, Jason Bateman.
Oh, yeah. I
like him. And we're watching House at night together.
House is great.
I keep seeing bits on TikTok and he was watching it. And then he got to season 2. I'm like, do you want to restart it? Because we've just finished. We watched Friends and then we watched Gilmore Girls. And then we needed a new show. So we're kind of floating and just watching like movies at night. And then, now we're on House.
Apparently Law and Order SVU's on Netflix now. So I might get back into that.
I really want to watch Criminal Minds with him.
Criminal Minds is also a really good one.
Yeah. And so like anything I keep. And then I keep finding like on TikTok when I see. Usually I'll like save the TikTok if it's a bit of a movie or something. I'm like, I'm going to watch that. But now I'm just like, I'll just grab the iPad and go lay in bed and watch the movie. Like I watched, bye-bye, love you.
Bye.
What was it? The Virgin Suicides the other night?
Never heard of it.
With, what's her name? Kristen Durst?
Never heard of it, but I do like her. It
was okay. I remembered it differently because I watched it years and years ago.
Yeah.
And then I watched Georgia's Rule with Lindsay Lohan and the mum from Desperate Housewives.
Which one?
Oh, the blonde one.
Yeah.
And that was quite cute.
Yeah.
And it was just like all bits of ones I keep seeing on TikTok. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna watch them. Like instead of just saving them and then they just save in my phone and I never watch them. Yeah. So now I'm like, nope, I'm gonna watch them.
Gonna watch it.
So we should just get straight into it, eh?
Yeah.
So in October 1976, 2 old high school friends from Benalla, Victoria.
Benalla.
Going
regional.
Yeah. Well, they come inward.
Well, obviously, because we're right up in Collingwood.
Had moved to Melbourne and rented the property at 147 Easey Street in Collingwood, excited to start a new chapter in their lives. The 2 women were referred to by friends and family as the 2 Sues. They were 28-year-old Suzanne Armstrong and 27-year-old Susan Bartlett. They had moved to Collingwood. Obviously, I just said the address, didn't I? Yep.
Yes.
Collingwood was most likely not the pair's first preference for the inner city suburbs. It was a bit rougher than the trendy neighbouring suburbs of Carlton and Fitzroy, but the area was a lot cheaper to rent at the time, which might have been a large factor for them. And then my note was just sports ball. The Collingwood Football Club was established in 1892.
That's got nothing to do with it.
But I was like, I didn't realise how old football was.
Wow. Okay. Yep.
I was like, 1892?
Yes.
So yeah, if you too did not know how old AFL was, or VFL, or the football.
That's just the Collingwood Football
Or the Collingwood Football Club. But yeah, well, I was like, 1892, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I didn't realise how long ago it was that they started.
Yeah, well, I mean, 1858 is when Melbourne Football Club...
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that was loud.
The Melbourne Football Club, as in the team that I barrack for, the Melbourne Demons, was in 1858.
Jesus. My uncle went for Melbourne. One of the dead ones.
Well, he can't really help me now.
And then my other uncle's Collingwood. And then Dad was Hawthorn. Suzanne Armstrong was born on the 1st of September 1949 in Euroa, Victoria. Suzanne had spent a few years travelling around the world through Asia, the UK, the US and Europe. On one occasion when she started to run low on travel money, she had agreed to smuggle a suitcase with cocaine from Bogota to Florida for $400. Unfortunately, she never received the money. In a letter to a friend, Susan stated that she shouldn't have been so naive to agree to this.
Oh, Susan.
Poor. It was so fucking confusing with the Susan and the Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Oh.
Sue.
Lots of Sues. The 2 Sues. That's quite cute.
2 Sues.
While travelling in Greece with Susan, she met a man and found herself pregnant.
Okay.
Suzanne stayed. So Suzanne was traveling with Susan,
Yes.
and then Suzanne met the man and got pregnant.
Okay.
And she decided to stay in Greece and had her son Gregory. Suzanne and the father of her child were set to get married and had ordered wedding rings. But apparently cultural differences started to form cracks in their relationship, with their main arguments being about what a pregnant woman could and could not do.
Whatever she fucking wants.
Or apparently one of the things I remember that I wrote down was that she wasn't allowed to sit with her legs crossed.
Why?
I don't know.
What do you think she's going to do? Suffocate the baby?
Yeah, just no air going into the sack.
Yeah, just like, because that's how it gets its air, through your vag hole.
That's why you always got to not wear underwear when you're pregnant. Don't worry about nearly pissing yourself when you sneeze, but that's fine. And the documents that she needed to get married seemed to be impossible to organise at the time. She considered staying in Greece with Gregory's father, but ultimately decided to return home to Australia when Gregory was 3 months old. One of her major concerns was raising a baby alone in a foreign country with a very small support system of people that she didn't know, whereas in Australia she had many family and friends. And it'd be hard, like a language and like everything. Suzanne came back to Australia under the story that she was just returning for Christmas, but she had bought her and Gregory a one-way ticket with the intention to not return.
Harsh.
I think she was going with which is like one of my most hated sayings, and like
ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah, I can think of what it like not state of mind, but like I can't think of the word is. Not value. Concept. I don't know. But yeah, I just fucking hate that. I'll ask for forgiveness, not permission. Like it's pretty much like I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that as Suzanne saying, but as someone else. But there's someone else in my life that uses that concept quite a lot.
Yep.
Suzanne wasn't working at the time, as she spent her days raising her now 16-month-old son, Gregory, and had started dating a man named Barry Woodard. I keep going to say Woodard. Susan Bartlett was a well-loved and respected high school teacher who taught arts at Collingwood High School. She was described as bubbly, loved music, and she especially loved the Beatles. And her...
Who didn't?
I fucking love the Beatles.
Who didn't love the Beatles?
They're broken up and one of them was dead by the time. 2 of them are dead?
Some of them are dead.
John Lennon's definitely dead.
Yeah, that happened.
Paul McCartney's alive. Ringo Starr's alive?
Wouldn't know.
George Harrison's?
Unsure.
Definitely John Lennon's dead.
Yes, that was quite a famous death.
Well, yes, we will cover him. George Harrison's dead. He died in 2001. What about Ringo Starr?
That's 2. I think Ringo Starr's still alive.
Ringo Starr, yeah, he's 83.
Yeah.
Okay, so nope. George Harrison and John Lennon, dead. Paul McCartney, conspiracy theory that he might be dead, but...
Currently not confirmed.
Not dead.
Anywho, she liked the Beatles.
She did. And she and Suzanne went to their concert at Festival Hall in 1984. The girls had caught a bus down from Benalla to Festival Hall when they would have been about 15 years old. Jesus. Google Maps have said that a drive now from Benalla to the city would have been about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like imagine a bus.
Good Lord.
Fuck that.
Solo 2-hour plus bus ride at 15 to go to a music festival, concert.
In the 60s. Well, that's really the only way. Like, that was a 2-hour drive. Imagine trying to convince your parents to drive you 2 hours to a concert.
Imagine convincing your parents that 15-year-olds can catch a bus to the Big Smoke.
The 60s.
To watch the Beatles.
Their neighbour Gary recalls Susan as being trendy and always with it. Her mother had even went off at her for wearing a mini skirt to go out in the 60s. She was described as a girl of her time.
Okay.
She was just like, always with the fashion.
With the times.
I feel like being pregnant, I have no idea what's going on with clothes anymore. Like people starting to wear their socks over their leggings again.
Yeah, I used to love doing that.
I used to do that in high school.
I always used to wear my white, like mid-ankle like mid-thigh, not mid-thigh.
Mid-thigh
Not
socks.
mid-thigh. Jesus.
I had mid-thigh socks because I had over-the-knee boots that I'd wear everywhere. They're my favourite.
Yeah, I never did the over-the-knee boots. I was a Volleys girl. Used to wear my Volleys or my Vans with my socks pulled up over my leggings. My white socks over my black leggings.
Yeah, that's the trend now. I remember at school it was like we had like black tights with our school uniform, and then you'd wear really thick black socks high. And then
we weren't allowed to. If we were wearing socks, they had to be under our tights because we weren't allowed to. It was not part of the uniform at the all-girls Catholic school that I went to.
Yeah, we weren't. I had to take nails off.
We also had to kneel on the floor every morning in front of the teacher to make sure that our dress touched the floor. It's like you knelt down, and if your dress wasn't at your knees, big trouble.
Oh my God, we used to roll our skirts up.
Obviously, you do it after the teacher make you kneel on the floor. You'd kneel on the floor. You always wore a belt. I always wore a belt because you'd kneel on the floor and then you just raise your arms up above your head and it'd pull your skirt up once you stood up. Yep, that's what I did.
The tricks of the trade.
Tricks of the trade.
So she was wearing miniskirts in the 60s. Susan's brother Martin and her mother had discussions around the idea of the girls moving in with each other. They knew they had been good friends for years, but were concerned about Suzanne's situation and doing a runner from the father of her child and what repercussions that could have. I feel like it's gotten really bright in here now.
The clouds are gone. The sun's back out.
The sun is shining. The tank is clean.
And we are getting out of here.
The tank is clean.
The tank is clean.
I say that like every morning today.
Me too. It's one of my favourite lines from Nemo.
Good old Nemo.
P-Sherman 42 Wildby Way, Sydney. Ask me again because I'll tell you.
I can never remember it. I know Sydney.
What? You don't remember P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney?
I wasn't a big Nemo gal.
Wow. Okay. I'm just learning this now.
I did love Brother Bear though.
Tell everybody I'm on my way.
I sing that probably daily as well today.
Oh, fucking love that movie.
It was a good. I think Phil Collins did the songs for that as well.
Phil Collins slapped when he
Disney
did the
song.
Tarzan soundtrack.
He didn't have to go that hard, but he did.
Oh, I say this to Beck constantly because when we're on road trips, we must listen to my Disney Emotional Connection playlist, and every single song from Tarzan and Phil Collins is on there. And there will be at least 10 times in the road trip that I look at her and go, Phil Collins slapped.
He went hard.
This
is such a tangent.
Okay, I've also really, I've really come to the conclusion that this podcast has highlighted my ADHD brain so much because I listened back to the first episode when it went out on Spotify and I was like, my brain is wild.
It does, because like you read something and you're like, oh, yep.
I trying to catch up with my own brain sometimes. I'm like, who the fuck am I? But then I'm also like, this is me 24/7. This is why I'm always tired.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to have a conversation and I mean, we're nearly 20 minutes into an episode and how many fucking lines have we read? We've read like one page of a script.
Yeah, literally.
And we're 20 minutes in. Imagine trying to hear a story from me, like getting home to tell you about my day. So
I was on the phone to my cousin the other day and we were talking about, I was driving to her house and like, you know that bit of road that's just like fucking nothing?
There's many of them.
Like,
I don't know where her house is because I've never been
Doreen.
there. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That road that's like nothing and then eventually get like an alpaca farm or something.
Yeah.
Big, pretty house. And I'd never noticed it before. And then I was trying to explain when we went to Essendon and we went down like all these side streets and there was beautiful houses, but to get from A to B, I had to explain why we're in Essendon. And because we were going to the Bunnings Expo. And then I was like, yeah, we were at McDonald's and we're Killer Road. Then we went down McCracken. And then my brain just went, why the fuck are we talking about McCracken Street? And we're both like silent, trying to figure out where I started. I was like, the houses, that's right.
I often sit halfway through a conversation and go,
where
I
was
forgot
this
where
going?
I was going with this. Couldn't tell you where we were going, but
you
I
knew
started
where you started
here.
and
I
you knew
started
where you wanted
somewhere
to end.
and we went down many side and back streets, got very lost, and wound up somewhere, not the intended exit or destination.
And you go, where was I going with this?
Don't know, but we're somewhere. We're here. And this is what we're doing now.
And it's the worst when you can't remember where you were going.
Yep.
And you're like, I have to finish this. And then later you're like, that's right.
Yep. Yeah.
That's where we were going.
Tell everybody I'm on my way.
So they were worried about the girls moving in together.
Yeah, because one of them's preggo. No, had a baby. Preggo out of wedlock. Whew, in the 60s.
In the 60s.
And ran away from her Greek baby daddy.
Without telling him that she was coming back.
That's some scandalous.
You could see how they'd be like, well, we don't know this guy. Like, what if he's fucking crazy?
Yeah, what if he comes searching
and kills them? But despite this, the girls were excited to move in together, and Susan loved children and was excited to help out with baby Gregory. The house's location itself was also a concern for the girls' family. There was construction going on all around them. Hoddle Street, which is pretty much one house to the right of them. Like, if it was a T, it was their house, a house, and then Hoddle Street was right there.
Busy street.
Yes. Was under construction, and also the property right behind them was being built into a medical centre. But the girls loved the area. There was a good bus service, a milk bar on the corner, hospitals nearby, and the rent was great, and nearly half of what others were paying in nearby Fitzroy and Carlton. The girls paid their $100 bond and moved in. Paying $100.
I wish.
Or now it's the equivalent of $1,520. So like,
it's still pretty good though.
That's still very cheap
for Collingwood
in the 60s.
Yeah, but like now, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
for city in general.
Yeah, and I think that's all. The cheap was rent.
The cheap was rent.
Oh,
it was.
Well, the rent
was rent.
The rent was cheap because like Collingwood was
a
like
shithole.
Rough, yeah. It was a shithole.
I mean, it's still kind of a shithole, but
a fancy shithole.
It's a fancy shithole.
So Suzanne had the front bedroom, which had a window facing out to the front porch and front yard.
I don't do windows. I mean, like in the bedroom. I won't sleep near the window. You know, so do you guys have like a designated side of the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the old house, my side of the bed was the right-hand side. In the new house, it's the left-hand side because I don't do windows.
Oh my God. Jay's near the window and I'm near the door.
Yeah, no, not
mainly because I like to be close to the bathroom.
Yeah. I was close to the bathroom too. That was very helpful during pregnancy.
Yes. No, I was on the other side at our old house. I was closest to the window, so I had to walk around the bed to get to our bathroom.
I'm not a window girly.
Oh.
I'm not a bird girly either.
Yeah, birds, no.
Not about them.
Absolutely not.
Birds are terrifying.
So.
So she had a window. I wouldn't have had that bedroom.
Her bedroom had the big window at the front.
Yeah.
And Suzanne had the second bedroom with baby Gregory in a makeshift room in between that was also used as a sewing room. The girls hosted a few parties in their short time in Collingwood. They hosted a housewarming party and a New Year's Eve party with a classic barbecue and music playing in the backyard.
Cute.
One party guest meeting Suzanne for the first time described her as beautiful in her white trousers and green boob tube. Ooh. And beautiful, very 70s hair. They just seem so lovely. And
they always do.
I know. Well, yeah, it'd be a shit if you had a case and you're like, they were a fucking asshole.
Well,
there's a few of them around that you hear.
That does exist.
Yes, and
doesn't mean it's not sad that they were murdered, but
they're less.
We don't need to tell lies that they lit up the room.
Yeah.
To be honest, no one would say that about me. If I got murdered tomorrow, they'd be like, she's a bit of a bitch, but like we got along.
She was okay.
She didn't like to leave the house. Her stories took forever to be told. Bit of a bitch.
She's a judgy fucking bitch.
Very judgy. And she was a little bit of a psycho, but, didn't deserve to be moided.
At the corner of my eyes, he just fucking came back up to the window to get the shit out of me. Many people who knew the two Sues described them as happy, independent, confident, and outgoing women. So, on the...
Punch on with that microphone.
Fucking microphones. On the morning of Monday, January 10th, 1977, Susan met with her mother and the pair went shopping and had lunch together. That evening, Susan's brother Martin and his girlfriend came over to the house as Martin had offered to come over and set up the girls' new stereo system. Martin and Susan had a great relationship and were friends as well as siblings, and they would be in contact at least once a week to have a chat, grab some lunch, or have a coffee.
Cute.
I know. I don't have siblings. I do technically, but
My brother lives in Queensland.
my brother lives about 15 minutes from here.
Oh, okay.
The four sat down and had a home-cooked dinner and watched some TV. At around 9 p.m, Martin and his girlfriend left the home with Suzanne putting baby Gregory to sleep in his cot, and they were getting settled in for the night in front of the TV, and Martin and Susan had made plans to catch up again for dinner in about a week. The next day, on Tuesday the 11th, Barry Woodard, Suzanne's boyfriend, rang the home to make plans with Suzanne. With no answer, he assumed the girls must not have been home. Barry's concern grew as there was no answer or call back from the home well into the evening. Another man who was apparently a very successful salesman, who had a white Mercedes, that's literally all he's described as, a salesman with a white Mercedes, who was seeing Susan Bartlett at the time, went to her home on this day to check if he had the right number since she wasn't answering his calls. He stated that he went through her bedroom window and into the lounge room to check the number. He confirmed that he had the right number and decided to leave, claiming that he did not see anything. I'm sorry, but the way that these women obviously were murdered and found...
There's no way you didn't see that.
There is no way that he did not see them, or at least one of them. Ugh.
Also, who just climbs inside to check if you've got the right number? Not to check if they're home, just to be like, am I calling the right phone number? And then leaves again?
And comes through the bedroom window when we hear later, like, the back door, like multiple people saw the back door open.
Yep.
Why wouldn't he go through the back door?
Well, because that would implicate him.
But going through the window was fine.
Yeah.
So Barry had continued to call the house through to Wednesday the 12th of January, still receiving no answer.
And you didn't think to tell anyone any sooner?
Well, he rang her... I don't know what... We'll get to his timeline.
Okay.
Later that afternoon, he decided to visit the house with his brother. He entered through the back door and left a note under an ashtray on the kitchen bench, which read, "Ring 4803932 Barry," with arrows pointing to his number. So have you seen the floor plan of this house?
No.
It's like... Hold on, get up. So like he is saying he came in through the back door and left a note on the kitchen bench.
Yep.
And like they were found up here. So like I feel like... And there was also a door here.
Yep.
So like I do believe Barry. Like
yeah. Kitchen is at the very back end of the house. You couldn't
it's just
physically
like a straight,
see that. Yeah.
There's a straight line, like kitchen, dining, living, and then a hallway, and the bedrooms are off that. So like the way... We'll put the floor plan up because there's a diagram of it as well, like the crime scene. But I don't think, like with all the walls in the way, and he went at night.
Yeah, well, the kitchen's on one side and where they were found in the hallway was on the opposite side. So you wouldn't have... It's not like he came in through the bathroom and could see straight down the hall. Yeah.
There's like multiple walls.
But if you came in through the bedroom window...
But yeah, apparently this guy came in through... Who had the front bedroom? Suzanne. So that's Susan's bedroom. So he would have come in this window and gone in the living room. And she was like here.
Yeah, no, there's no way you didn't see it coming through the bedroom window, bro.
It's ridiculous. So the Suze's neighbours also became concerned about them when they found their German Shepherd puppy wandering around the street.
Oh, baby.
They went to return the puppy to the women, but after no one answered the door, they took the dog home with them and left a note on the door saying, "Dear Suze, we have your dog which was wandering around the street. You're obviously not home, so give us a yell and we will return home to you promptly." They decided to head home and wait. One of the women had a bath, and during that time she could hear next door's phone ringing. It rang and then stopped, assumingly no one answering it. Concerns grew as no one had heard from the women the next day either, on Thursday the 13th of January. So this is Monday night they had dinner. Now Thursday, no one's heard from them.
Yeah, that's a worry.
Yeah.
Especially for women that used to contact people regularly.
Yeah, like, well, she spoke to her brother once a week. But also, like, they probably would have had work
and friends.
Yeah.
Well. I mean, if I dropped off the face of the earth for 4 days, it wouldn't really be that much of a concern because I'm a hobbit and I don't really like people. But I mean, if my TikTok wasn't being used during that time, like I wasn't scrolling.
Yeah, there was no like screen activity on my phone.
Then there would be cause for concern.
So the neighbours with the dog returned to the house a couple more times during the evening to try and gain contact again, but no one answered the door. But they could hear baby Gregory crying inside.
Oh, baby.
They recalled thinking that they had heard Gregory crying a lot the past couple of days, but they thought nothing of it. The houses were built with one brick wall, so you could normally hear a slight conversation, so a baby crying would just become white noise to them. And also, like, as we know very well, babies cry a fucking lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually you're just like, as a neighbour as well,
yeah,
that close, you'd be like, oh yeah, background noise. But the girls had described that it had been different. Usually they wouldn't let him cry for long, but these sounded like what they described as weaker cries.
Oh, darling.
Poor chicken.
Not eaten for days.
I know. But he fucking loses it when he hasn't eaten 2 hours.
I know.
Imagine 4 days.
Shit.
3. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And sitting in the same nappy, not getting cuddles, confused to where mum's gone. Oh, that breaks my heart.
It's fucking, that's like the worst part of this story. Like, yeah, 2 women do get murdered, but like a fucking 16-month-old?
Is just like left alone to fend for himself in his little cot.
It's like that stupid fucking bitch that left her kid.
Oh, no, we're not discussing that again. Fuck that motherfucker.
A whole nother fucking... You know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
They then tried calling over the back fence to get anyone's attention, but this failed as well.
Call the police, please, somebody.
Jesus Christ, scared the shit out of me.
Sorry, I'm very passionate.
Call the police.
Like fucking 4 days and this kid's just non-stop crying and you can't get a hold of anyone and you've got their puppy.
But apparently the other two men that went into the house didn't hear the baby. So like there probably might have been times where he just
probably passed the
went
fuck
to
out.
Sleep, yeah, of exhaustion and crying. One of the women jumped on a chair and saw that the back door was slightly open and a light was on inside. They decided to enter the back door to check on their new neighbours. And they hadn't been there for very long too. Yeah. So like they probably wouldn't know their
habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As they entered further into the home, calling out for either Suzanne or Susan to answer, they were met with the horrific sight of the hallway covered in blood and a woman's body lying motionless on the hallway floor. One of them went into the bedroom where she could hear baby Gregory still weakly crying. He looked weak and dehydrated. He just remained laying in his cot and softly crying.
Oh, baby.
So every time I hear this case and research it, it says that one of them picked him up and took him home with her. But apparently she didn't. She just sat with him and was like, help is coming.
Oh, baby.
She said that she recalled that the detective she spoke to didn't take many notes when she was speaking with her. And she recalled thinking that she had no experience with young babies and didn't want to cause him any more distress by picking him up and possibly taking him past the dead body of Susan in the hallway. And also this happened in January in Australia.
Hot.
The average temperature would apparently have been about 33 degrees Celsius, which is whatever degree Fahrenheit.
Something.
91.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The police were called, and after about 20 minutes of waiting, they called a second time and seemed like they had to convince the police that they were needed at Easey Street.
Jesus.
Aware that the house was now a crime scene, the other neighbour went back around into the side lane to the front door to wait for the officer to make sure that he didn't come in via the front door, as Susan's body was laying right there in the hallway. The one officer that was sent seemed to have not had any urgency about the situation, but once he entered the Collingwood house, he found the bloody body of Susan Barlett laying in the hallway just outside of Suzanne's bedroom. The next thing, the street was filled with about 20 officers and ambulance, and one female officer entered the home and took baby Gregory straight off in an ambulance. Susan had been stabbed 55 times.
Shit.
Some of the stab wounds were in clusters, and they were unable to count the individual amount of stab wounds. She had clusters of stab wounds to her shoulders, chest, 18 to her arm, and 7 to her neck. and multiple stab wounds were to her buttocks, thighs, and legs.
Wowzers.
There were smears of blood along the hallway as if she'd used it to steady herself as she walked to Suzanne's room or the front door. She had slashes to her arms and hands from where she had bravely tried to fight back, but had fallen face down so close to the front door. That's so hard when they're near the door. It's like the Catherine Knight one when he was like
he's outside.
At the door.
She nearly made it.
Tess Lawrence wrote in a piece for Independent Australia after she experienced walking through the house. She said, quote, "Both sides of the narrow hallway walls were splattered with what seemed to be liters of blood, and what looked like macabre wallpaper stenciled in blood by the palms, hands, and fingers of someone desperately trying to defend themselves from the maniacal and frenzied repeated stabbings of a cold-blooded and ruthless killer or killers." That's
brutal.
As police investigated the house further, they found Suzanne lying on her bedroom floor with her legs spread apart. She was naked from the waist down with her nightie pulled up over her shoulders, and it was discovered later that she had been raped post-mortem. How? Suzanne had been stabbed 29 times, primarily to her chest. 11 wounds were to her left arm, 2 on her right nipple, and 1 just below her left nipple. There was an abrasion to her left eye and a stab wound to her cheek. Her heart had been stabbed 3 times, her left lung 7 times, once to her right lung, and 2 wounds to her liver. It's just so fucked.
That's awful.
So the theory of what happened is, with baby Gregory asleep, the girls settled in front of the TV to watch The Sullivans to unwind from the day. They may have had a cup of tea together before retiring to their bedrooms for the night. Suzanne going to bed and continuing to read Switch Bitch by Ronald Dahl that she had started, and Sue maybe to have a look at the dress that she'd been sewing earlier that day. Sue might have thought it was still early enough for her to do a load of washing, thinking this wouldn't annoy Suzanne and baby Gregory as the washer was up the back of the house in the bathroom, and she could also close the door to the hallway to stop any further noise travelling. This theory was supported by there being a recently done load of washing that was still wet in their washing machine. Suzanne might have even travelled further down the back of the house to make sure the side gate was closed so the puppy the women had couldn't get out. With her furthest away from the front of the house, she may not have heard if someone knocked at the door or even Suzanne's window. From the crime scene, Suzanne's bed was not very disturbed and her book had been placed on her side table. I kept hearing it was either on the table or on the bed.
Okay.
The book was somewhere, but it wasn't like thrown. It was like
placed down.
Put down, yeah. Alternatively, the front door was closed but not locked. The killer could have entered through the unlocked police door. The police door?
Front door? I don't think they have a police door in their house.
Probably not. Through the unlocked front door, as there was no forced entry, or police have theorized that Suzanne knew the person and had let them in the house to speak with them, and the door was simply closed behind them, not being relocked. So there's like multiple fucking ways this person could have got in.
Yeah.
Suzanne then may have heard a noise from the front of the house, which made her head up that way. Susan was then attacked and stabbed in the front hallway of the home, with the attacker slashing at her hands and arms as she tried to defend herself. Due to the difference in stab wounds in the women, Suzanne being stabbed 29 times. Oh, this was my theory part.
Oh.
My theory was like if someone came in the front door and then because Suzanne only had 29 stab wounds and then Susan had 55. So I always thought like the person came in, attacked Suzanne, and then Susan's come up the hallway and like disturbed him.
Yeah.
So he's either like pissed at her and has started stabbing her more. That's my theory on that part. She must have tried to head to the front door as she tried to steady herself on the hallway walls, and the attacker continued to stab her in the back and her legs. Police believed he then raped the dead or dying body of Suzanne, which most people believe was a target for his kill.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because he, like, I don't know, but he stabbed her less. but raped her, but then stabbed Susan more.
Yeah, but also she was trying to escape. That could account for the extra stabs.
Yeah.
She was trying to get out of the house, so he could have just been like, fucking get down, like
Maybe
stop.
she took a bit longer to...
Yeah.
Jesus.
Perhaps she was, not the intended target, but because she was trying to get away, had to throw in a couple extra.
And that's why I reckon he was like, she must have disturbed him.
Yeah.
And been like, he was pissed off, so that's why he's attacked her a little bit more. There was no sign of an extended struggle in Suzanne's room. The book is reported as both placed on the bedside table and also placed upside down on the bed. Like, they just keep constantly changing in everything I read. But the book was placed down. There were a few drops of blood on Suzanne's bed sheets, on an alarm clock on the bedside table, and the lamp light switch. This may have been Suzanne trying to reach the phone on her bedside table, or the attacker going over to turn the bedside lamp off. Which I feel like the lamp is a bit more, like if she's been stabbed, she'd leave a little bit more blood on her way to reach the phone. But if he's gone to turn off the lamp, like, because there was only a couple of drops of blood.
Yeah.
From the scene, police also discovered that the killer hadn't left the scene immediately after the murders. They'd washed up in the bathroom with blood stains on the bath, suggesting that he had stood in it and tried to possibly have a shower, and then exited via the back door and the laneway gate, leaving them both open. It was also later discovered that a police officer had also used the bathroom sink in the house to wash his hands.
What a fucktard.
Why at an active crime scene would you wash your fucking hands when there's blood all over the bathroom?
What a dumb
It's a bit messy in here.
Oh, just got a little bit of blood on me fingies.
Like, they didn't do a great job.
No.
There were multiple pieces of evidence left in the home, including blood, fingerprints, footprints, and a blood-stained towel thrown onto the couch. There was also some newspaper pages from The Age, pages 15 to 18, dated from January 13th, 1977, but it was ultimately surmised that a young police officer had brought them in with him. And just fucking left them.
What? Dumbasses.
Wash your hands in the sink, bring in a newspaper.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
Just tamper with the crime scene.
Why would you need to bring a newspaper into a crime scene?
Just to catch up.
Just in case you got bored.
Current affairs.
With DNA testing not being what it is now, the detectives could only take samples of blood for blood grouping tests and fingerprints. Unusual for the time, the detectives took apart the pipes in the bathroom, where they found splinters of bone sitting in the elbow of the pipe. This told police that the killer may have known how investigations worked and that he wanted to get rid of as much evidence from him as possible, or that he may have just wanted to clean himself up because he would have been covered in blood.
Yeah.
So he's either a genius and he knew how investigations worked in the 70s, or he just didn't want to exit the house covered in blood.
Yeah. And bone bits.
Yeah, a bone splinter. In Susan's room, a detective found that the blinds had fallen off the window and that there was a dirt footprint on the bed. In a drain just 2 blocks away from the home, they found a bloodied face cloth and a shawl. During a random traffic stop when a man was pulled over, a police officer found a bloodied knife in the boot of the man's car, which he claimed he'd found at the Victoria Park railway station.
Yep.
I just found it, put it in my boot.
Yep. I just found this bloodied knife and just thought I'd bring it home with me.
Yeah.
Why not?
Finding the murder weapon near the train station led investigators to believe that the killer made his escape on the railway. At the time of the killing of Suzanne and Susan, there were only 16 detectives assigned to Victoria's homicide squad. When the crime scene was first reported to them, the police only sent 1 officer to the scene, assuming it might have been roommates that were having a fight, but obviously that was quickly ruled out once they saw the inside of the house.
Yeah.
Imagine, obviously, I don't know what the neighbor said on the fucking phone call, but she'd be like, hey, my neighbors are dead.
There's blood everywhere?
Yeah, there's a baby, but no, send 1 officer.
Yep.
So, the detectives believed this case would be an easy case, as they had blood to test, fingerprints, footprints, and a note from Barry, who was ruled a suspect as he'd been in the house.
Okay.
Little did you know. At the time the murders occurred, it was not standard protocol for police to wait for the forensic team to arrive before going through or to wear protective clothing or footwear.
Yep.
Many detectives had already walked all the way around through the house from the back fence to the front street. The labs had determined that Suzanne had blood type A and Susan had blood type O. And they said 0.
0 blood.
0. I don't know what my blood type is.
I am an A negative.
I want to say AB.
How would you not know? They would have had to do that during pregnancy.
They never told me.
Oh. Well, I know mine because I donate the bloods.
No, I think they did tell me.
I'm an A neg and Harry's an A positive. So I had to have all of the fucking anti-D injections so that my body doesn't kill the next baby.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I had to have a blood transfusion when I was at hospital. But I can't remember what they said. I want to say AB.
Infusion?
Possibly that.
Or transfusion?
An iron.
Infusion.
And then a blood. They added blood to me.
Added blood to it.
Because I lost like 2.4 litres or something.
Samesies.
Ah, fun times.
Mine was from a Caesar.
Oh, mine was from him coming out with his big ass head.
Yeah, no. I had a postpartum hemorrhage from me Caesar and then they couldn't close me up.
Mine was something with my placenta.
Placenta.
My placenta. Something happened. It ruptured or some shit.
Cool.
Yeah. But my placenta was apparently in the shape of a heart.
Mine was just like a big
blob of
fucking massive steak. They took pictures of it for me and I swear to God, it was like fucking a solid 8 centimeters thick.
Yeah, she asked if I wanted to see it. I'm like, no, thank you.
It was like really dense and short. Like most people's is quite long and thin and mine was just like this big, thick, fucking juicy steak.
Lovely.
Anyway.
So, the blood. So, type A blood was found on the towel, the carpet, the bath, the lamp, the clock radio, the sheet, the knife, and a cardigan later found in the home. So, it was
everywhere.
Suzanne's. And then blood O was found in the hallways, on the hallway walls and in the hallway.
Yep.
So, it adds up to like where the two women were as well.
Yeah.
Sperm was found and swabs were taken from Suzanne. A sperm stain found on her sheets, carpet, and the face washer.
Okay.
And there's one part, I was listening to an audiobook, and there was one part, and they were talking about this part about they're taking sperm samples, and they're literally just labelled vag smear.
Vag smear?
I was like, that's what yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Technically, yes,
yeah.
but vag smear sounds so fucking gross. Police eventually established a list of 130 persons of interest related to the crime.
Jesus Christ.
Suzanne's mother, Eileen, found out about the murders as her and her partner were driving back from a holiday in Canberra when she saw the headline on a newspaper and recognised the house.
Oh, sweetheart.
Martin found out via his girlfriend hearing the news on the radio about 2 bodies being found in Collingwood. He rang the woman's home and a police officer answered and asked him to come down to the house. Could you fucking imagine? Like, why wouldn't you inform? Like, obviously you know who the fucking...
You know who they are.
people
They live there.
Yeah.
They're renting the house. Their name's on the lease. Contact some people.
They informed him of the murders and he rushed to tell his mother before the news could reach her any other way. Suzanne's sister Gail was out in the outback as a cook at a shearing shed in far west New South Wales. Like, this is apparently like outback.
Yeah.
This town was described as a population of 44 with 1 pub and a cemetery.
Wow.
And the cemetery actually had no graves in it.
Oh.
No one had, like, been buried there yet.
Wowzers.
Gail had to drive 200 kilometres to Broken Hill and then to fly home. It took her 2 days to get back to Melbourne.
Wow.
Suzanne was actually meant to go up with her and help her sister out as an assistant cook for a couple of weeks, but she was unable to find anyone to look after Gregory and ultimately didn't end up going. So she would have been up there.
Yeah.
For any updates on the case, Gail had to ring the police or go down to the station to follow up with anything.
Rude.
Yeah, like, just fucking update people. Suzanne's brother Martin, who was 25 years old at the time, stepped up and planned the funeral services for both women.
Oh, darling.
They're only 27 and 28.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 28.
I'm turning 27.
I keep thinking I'm 26. I said to Jay something. I'm like, yeah, 26. He's like, you're not 26.
I'm 26.
I'm like, I'm not 26. I'm 2 years off 30. That's fine. Jay's already 30.
Beck's already 30.
Old motherfuckers.
Beck's nearly 31.
I have already planned my 30th birthday. It's going to be a funeral theme. It's going to be a death to my 20s theme.
Fuck yeah.
It's going to be all black and, yep. Already got it. I'm just like, no one can die around the time I have my birthday.
Because that'll be morbid as
be like,
shit.
oh, 2 for 1. So they could only accommodate 10 chairs for the family at the Blair Chapel Springvale Crematorium,
Wow.
which had about 60 people attend. Martin pushed detectives for a timeline, and when the murders occurred, was it shortly after he had left or during the 2 days in between their bodies being found? During the autopsy and the delay in finding the bodies, it was hard to determine a time of death. And also, as we mentioned, it was Australian summer, so it would have been about 33 degrees Celsius. Unfortunately, Susan's mother died at the age of 61, not knowing who killed her daughter or why. Bill Armstrong, who was Suzanne's dad, died due to severe burns during a bushfire in 1978, less than a year after the murders. One of the neighbours, an older Greek lady, said she either had a dream or had heard a man outside that said something like, "Kill the 2 teachers tonight," and then woke up in the morning sensing that there had been a death.
Okay.
So there's a psychic old lady.
A little bit of a conspiracy there.
Then we've got Gladys Coventry. Wow.
Coventry.
Coventry?
Coventry.
Should know that fucking word. My dad was born in Coventry. Who was in her late 70s, and her 84-year-old husband Thomas were also close neighbours of 147 Easey Street. When Tom and his mother had moved to Collingwood, they still had a milkman coming to their house.
Aww.
Gladys would often sit looking out her kitchen window. During the winter, it was close to the fireplace.
Do you mean Gladys?
Gladys. Gladys.
Gladys.
Gladys.
Gladys.
Gladys.
It's Gladys. Gladys.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
It's Gladys.
So she would sit looking out her window. In winter, it was close to her fireplace.
Gladys.
And in summer, she could open the window and get a nice late night breeze. I wrote, get a nice late nice breeze.
With Gladys.
She seemed to be a people watcher, which I can 100%, I feel that.
Me too.
I love watching people.
Sames.
From her kitchen window, she could see straight into the kitchen of the Sue's house. Gladys tried to tell detectives that what she had seen that night, but there seems to be no official report. She, however, had told a neighbour what she saw. She had seen a man washing his hands at the kitchen sink and scrubbing a piece of clothing. He didn't seem to be in a frenzy, and then he walked out the back door and out the side gate. He was acting casual enough in the house that she didn't think anything of it and assumed that it might have been one of the women's boyfriends or a friend that had come over. She also said that she saw the man carrying a knife.
Okay, yeah, that's casual.
Police didn't even bother to send a sketch artist over to speak with Gladys or to try get an image of what this man looked like. It was alleged that the police interviewing her treated her like crap, being impatient, and the homicide detectives were described by other officers as a pack of smartasses and arrogant.
Love that.
That's a great quality for police.
Yep, exactly.
Her neighbour Hugh had a theory on who this man could have been. There was so much construction going on in the area directly around the house. Could it have been a construction worker? That's literally when I started researching this today, I'm like, I reckon it's a construction worker.
Yeah.
Directly behind the house, the Collingwood Community Health Centre was being constructed.
Built?
Could a worker on one of these sites been the attacker? It was summer and the girls apparently had a blow-up pool in the backyard. Maybe one of the workers had spotted the 2 women lounging in their backyard and he became obsessed with them.
It is a possibility.
It's a fucking strong possibility. The tradesman also apparently used the laneway right beside the women's house to get to and from the job site. Could one of the women innocently struck up a conversation with a man which made him think it was okay to attack her? Because, like, you've heard other things that it's like the slightest thing. Oh, she smiled at me, so now I'm stalking her.
Yeah.
Another neighbour, 21-year-old Peter Sellers, had a friend staying over. They'd been up late talking and watching TV. Peter went to bed around 2:30 a.m. in his room at the front of the house. He then heard one door slam and then 2 car doors slamming and a car taking off. His friend also heard the same thing. When police were doing door knocks, Peter's mother said that her son had heard something the night the women were killed, and the policeman apparently wrote down his name and said someone would be in contact with him. No one ever contacted Peter or his mother to follow up with what he heard.
Helpful.
Yeah, don't follow up with any of the fucking neighbours that have all heard and seen something.
They've all openly told you the things too, so they're willing to cooperate.
Yeah. In 2017, after the case resurfaced in the news for a new $1 million reward for any information on the case, Peter rang Crime Stoppers with the information he knew, but he got the sense that the person on the other end of the phone did not care.
Harsh.
Yeah, like, you work for Crime Stoppers. Like,
give a shit about people, please. Especially murdered people.
Yeah, like, I know it was fucking years ago. But
doesn't matter. They still were murdered.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, still take the fucking information.
Yeah.
Like, we have a cold case unit for a reason.
Exactly.
Police also appealed to dry cleaners in the city if they had any customers come in with blood-stained clothing. The person possibly also had scratches on him. I feel like you'd be suspicious anyway as a dry cleaner and someone came in with blood on their clothes.
You would think so, but, you never know.
Yeah, don't ask questions.
Don't ask, don't tell.
There was also one dry cleaner employee that came forward about a customer who dropped off very stained white pants, and when she asked them about it, the customer said he had cut his hand, but she didn't see any wound.
Okay.
Okay, enough to saturate your white pants, but, like, at least put a fucking bandage or something on your hand.
Yeah.
The murders were later linked to the disappearance and probable murder of 19-year-old Julie Garcia-Saleh. So sidetrack into another case.
Yep.
Julie was born on the 10th of July 1955 in California. She had been working as a library reference clerk at South Down Press on Latrobe Street. Julie had organised a small get-together at the flat that she had shared with her sister on Canning Street in North Melbourne on July 1st, 1975. So there was Julie, a Truth newspaper reporter John Grant, boxer Reese Tommy Collins, and John Joseph Powers. The men said Julie left the flat at about 10:30 p.m. to make a call at a public phone box. Then, according to the 3 men, Julie just never came back.
Oh, yeah?
Julie's sister Gail reported her missing the following day at 4 p.m. after she had still not returned home or showed up for work. She also reportedly found a blood-soaked towel and her sister's underwear on the floor. A kitchen knife was also missing from the home. Julie has never been heard or seen again since 1975.
Wowzers.
With 3 men just saying, no, she just walked out.
And just never, ever came back.
Yeah.
Very suspicious, but we didn't do anything about it.
Well, 2 of the men, one of them, John Joseph Powers, would later be jailed for 30 years over shooting, armed robberies, and the vicious 1992 rape of a 19-year-old. John Grant was also staying. John Grant was also staying at a friend's house on January 10th, and his friends were the neighbours of Suzanne and Susan. His friend and he had been out drinking that night at the Celtic club in the city.
Celtic, I think.
Returning to his friend's house at around 8:15 p.m, they played pool and drank some more before everyone heading off to bed at about 2 a.m. John was extensively interviewed by police and was cleared as a suspect after DNA testing. So now we have the other suspectees, Gregory's biological father. Police looked into the idea that Gregory's biological father may have been responsible. This was quickly ruled out as it was determined that the man was still in Greece and had never travelled outside of Greece in his life before. Then we have Barry Woodard, who was Suzanne's boyfriend. Barry had admitted to visiting the house, and police thought it was unlikely that someone would walk into this house and would have not walked around or seen anything. Barry at the time was a 31-year-old shearer from Euroa who had known Susan due to Gail and Henry, his brother, dating. So Suzanne's sister and Barry's brother were dating.
Okay.
And then they arranged for those two to get together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, brothers and sisters dating. It's like when twins date twins and they have baby twins.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd. Barry and Suzanne had been on 3 dates before her death. The couple had their last date on Sunday at his sister Margaret's house in Northcote and thought it was odd that she hadn't called him. When he had dropped her home, Susan and the salesman were there. Like, he just sounds like a fucking wanker, like the salesman. He had a cup of coffee with them and then returned to his sister's house. Suzanne had asked if he wanted to stay the night, but he was expected to go to a shearing job early the next morning. Over the weekend at Margaret's house, there was Barry, his brother Henry, their older sister Cheryl, her husband Max, and their 4 children.
Wow.
So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in this house. On Monday the 10th of January, Barry, Max and Cheryl went to the Albion Charles Hotel for a drink. At about 7 p.m. they arrived back at the sisters' home, drank some more, and about 8:30 they had some dinner and then watched TV. He tried to ring Suzanne at about 10 p.m. with no answer, and then went to bed, waking up the next morning at around 8 a.m. In his sister's account of the events, she said that she had thought Barry ended up going to bed around midnight as they didn't have dinner until about 10:30 p.m. The 2 sisters ended up chatting for some more until about 2 a.m. as the baby was due for a feed, and she didn't want to go lie down for about half an hour before having to get up again. With all the people in the house, they weren't 100% sure where everyone was sleeping, but the room Barry was staying in had 2 single beds, so someone would have been sleeping in that room as well. The next time someone in the house was up was his sister at around 6 a.m. to feed her baby, who was on a 4-hour feeding routine. I do not miss that.
No.
Barry had arranged to drive Cheryl and her family back to Yay on the Tuesday and wanted to leave early so he had enough time to be back for his dinner plans with Suzanne. After not hearing from Suzanne since he dropped her home on Sunday night and no answers to his phone calls, Barry and Henry went over to 147 Easey Street to check on her at approximately 8:30 p.m. That's what I mean, like it was dark in the house as well.
Yeah.
Like it would have been hard to see. He said that he went to the front door and saw a note, but he didn't read it. And then they checked around the back where they saw the kitchen light on and the back door and side gate were about half open. He yelled out for Suzanne, but there was no answer. The brothers maintained that they didn't enter the house any further than the kitchen and they didn't hear baby Gregory crying. Henry backed up his story by saying they were only in the kitchen for about 5 minutes calling out for Suzanne and left a note. Henry wanted to walk further into the house, but Barry didn't want him to. He didn't feel comfortable going further into the house as he felt like he didn't know Suzanne well enough to just start walking through her house. Barry had said it wasn't our place to walk through their house. And also, what would they think? What would the women think if they came home and found them snooping around their house?
True.
Yeah, like walking in like the guy you just started dating is your house.
Yeah.
He could just see as far as the hallway door, but being 8:30 p.m, it was probably pretty dark in the house. The next time he'd called, a police officer answered the phone and asked for his address, where he was picked up by police and taken to Russell Street for questioning. Barry was interrogated by 8 detectives in a room, at one point them firing questions at him. After being investigated constantly by detectives for 20 years, he was cleared after 2 DNA tests.
Poor Barry.
Poor Barry. He's just like my fucking...
20 years he was still
being harassed about it, yeah.
Like, he just started dating the woman.
And he was like, you're probably in that like little...
love bubble stage. He would have been upset. And then they've got this cloud over him of like, you must have done it.
Yeah, and all because he left a note.
For her to call him.
Yeah.
Like, if you're murdering people, you're really going to leave your name and number there? Give me a call. Lol jokes, you can't. I just stabbed you to death.
Yeah. Stupid. Now we have Suzanne's unnamed boyfriend, the salesman. This man also said that he didn't see the bodies of the woman or spot the young child when he was in the house. He literally would have had to like walk past her.
Yeah.
So unless you're fucking walking with your head up. On the Tuesday night, the tobacco salesman and his friend went to the house. He climbed through Susan's window and it was his footprint that was found on her bed. He said that he had walked through Susan's bedroom, turned right in the hallway towards the phone in the lounge room and checked that the number he had for Susan was correct. He claimed he went back up the hallway and back out through the window and claimed he didn't see Susan's body lying in the hallway or heard Gregory crying.
Yeah, so if you had have turned right and like she was to the left and perhaps you didn't look.
But then coming
maybe.
back.
But then you walked back in that direction and had to be staring at the fucking front door, which she was lying in front of.
I'd get it if he went through the window.
And then out the back door.
Yeah, out the back door.
And just didn't look. But he turned around and walked back where he fucking came from.
And came out the window. It was so stupid. He was apparently unaware of anything being wrong in the house until his friend showed him the newspaper article on the front page the next day. The front of the house was dark, but the kitchen light was on. He had also apparently had a few too many that night as well.
Well, to be climbing into some chick's bedroom window just to look for a phone number.
Yeah.
You'd have to be pretty fucked.
Due to DNA testing, he was also cleared from being the attacker. Questionable. A psychic was consulted during a session with newspaper reporters and Suzanne's sister Gail. She had apparently summoned Suzanne's spirit. Over the next...
Come here, Susan.
Come on. But Suzanne's sister said she believed some of the things she was saying. Like she said she was wearing like one of Suzanne's cardigans and the psychic picked that, and like there was a few things that she made her think like, oh, she might have some right things. Over the next 2 hours, she proceeded to tell her sister how they had died, the names of 2 men who'd killed them, where the murder weapon was, the make of the killer's car, how they escaped, and where they were possibly living now.
How would she know the make of the car?
If she saw like the crime play out. So you need to stop fucking jumping up because it's scaring the shit out of me. And that Suzanne had known both men. Apparently the men had entered through the kitchen window and went up the hallway to Suzanne's bedroom and stood over her while she was in bed. And then the psychic felt something around her neck. She said that the weapon was probably a tradesman tool, possibly a chisel. The name had been blanked out like during when they reported this. And she kept saying like, why blank, why blank, why blank. And then she just said, he's a swine.
Oh, okay.
Just remember, he's a swine.
Oh, I remember.
The killers took their blood-soaked clothes and rushed to their car, which they'd parked in a dead-end street, and drove off. She was then given a map and traced her finger up the Hume Highway until she felt a pain in her heart, where she claimed that on the area where she claimed they had disposed of the weapon. And her finger was right above Pretty Sally.
Oh.
Which is...
Yep.
Like the hill.
Yeah.
I was trying to find it because it's either when you are coming in or coming out.
Yeah.
But I was like, just go find it. The head of the homicide squad, however, said that, quote, his officers were concerned with the natural, not the supernatural, and didn't make any comments of what he thought of the psychic and her performance. Which, like, I get, a lot of cases have psychics that are absolutely useless. But, like, I don't know, some of them, like I've been to multiple psychics. I probably won't shit on psychics because every couple of years I'll go see one.
Yeah.
But, like, some of them will tell you shit that you're like, how the fuck did you, like, you go to some and they're like you'll find love or you'll have a baby or you'll change careers. Like, it's very vague. But then
some of them, it's like pinpointed details.
You're like, how would you even know that? I don't know you. You don't know me. All my social medias are locked. So it's like, how did you come up with this
information? Yeah. I've had that before.
Yeah, it's just fucking creepy, some of the stuff there. You're like, excuse me, how did you come up with that?
Yeah.
So Tom Pryor was a journalist who wrote about the murders and said that there was also another unnamed suspect that even Suzanne's father expressed concern about. He knew Suzanne and had even been to the house before, knowing the layout of the house. He, however, was a trusted associate of the police. He was known to have a violent temper and had been known to assault women before. He was known to be a heavy drinker, but this has noticeably slowed down after the date of the murders. He was not really investigated and gave a vague timeline of his movements during the dates. There was also another strong suspect that had been kicked off the police force a couple of years prior to the murders after sexually harassing women when he pulled them over for traffic infringements.
Oh, fucking men.
He was also known to have worked on at least one construction site near Easey Street around the time. After interviewing this suspect, Tom said that this man said, quote, "Not saying I did or didn't, but you can't prove anything."
Righto.
Apparently, this ex-officer was cleared as not being involved in the murders. Tom Pryor also received a phone call one night at around 2 a.m. during his book research on the case, threatening him to stop asking questions and that they knew where he lived. See, that's
Righto.
when, like, the psychic was like, oh, she's saying he's a swine. Like, is
Yeah.
she saying he's a pig? Like, he's a cop?
Yeah, could be.
So, baby Gregory. Suzanne's sister Gail ended up taking Gregory into her family and raising him like her own son.
Aww.
Gail's son Travis was born only a week before Gregory, so the two boys grew up like twins.
Oh.
Greg Armstrong was the forgotten victim of the Easey Street murders. He grew up not remembering his mother and not knowing his natural father.
Oh, darling.
Because he was illegitimate, Greg was not eligible for crimes compensations until a barrister, I always nearly say barrister, a barrister friend of his mother's ran a campaign to have the law changed. This barrister also set up a trust fund that paid for his education.
Oh.
Greg also learnt Greek and travelled to Greece to meet his father and other relatives when he was 20.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know, he finally, he joined the Army Reserve, taught in the Army, and later mastered computer websites.
Mm.
A year before the 20th anniversary, a crime reporter interviewed Gregory. He said, "The worst thing is not to know who did it. There is nothing I can do, but it would be different if I knew. For one thing, it'd be something big I wouldn't have to think about every day. I miss her. I wish I could meet my mother again, even just once."
Oh, sweetheart.
40 years after the murders, there is no closer to closing the case. The Victorian Homicide Squad detectives have announced a $1 million reward for information that could help close the Easey Street murder investigation. There was also another guy who wrote letters to the family. He wrote like 6 or 7 letters.
Yeah.
And he named Jack Christie. And he said that in a group therapy session at Larundel, which is a
mental hospital.
Yeah. During a group therapy session that both men were in, so the one writing the letters were also there, that he liked to carve up women and have sex with them. But the man writing the letters was apparently known by police for doing this kind of thing before. And I think he was just a bit of a...
little bit special.
Yeah. Like, obviously he wanted to be involved in cases and didn't provide a lot. The house at 147 Easey Street, Collingwood, has changed hands a few times since Suzanne Armstrong and Susan Bartlett were murdered. It sold in 1976 for $19,500, then in 2011 for $571,000, and then again in 2017 for just over $1 million.
Damn.
And there is a burger shop on Easey Street called Easey's. Have you been there?
No.
It's like they have a train carriage on the top.
Oh, no, I have actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's quite cool. I've
Yeah.
been there, I think twice or 3 times now, but lots of stairs to get up to the
So
the
many
top.
stairs.
But yeah, that was the unsolved.
Very dissatisfying.
Yeah, it's just fucked. Like, I
Easey
don't
Street
think it was
murders.
Barry. And I believe, like, I don't know, like, I feel like the way the house is laid out and there was a door there, it was nighttime.
He wouldn't have been able to see.
No.
He wouldn't have.
And like, as he said, like the one, I think it was Reddit, and one of them described them as like just 2 country boys.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, country boys in the 60s would have had like a lot of respect.
R-E-S-B-C-T.
And like Barry even said like he was uncomfortable even going into their kitchen.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there because he didn't know
Yeah.
her well enough.
But then the salesman, how do you walk through someone's like that
Climb
whole
through
thing
a bedroom
is fucked.
window, walk through the house, check the phone number, and then turn around and walk back out past the dead bodies and just not happen to notice them.
Yeah, like he seems like a very...
That seems dodge to me.
But then the guy that the journalist interviewed, he's like, you can't prove that I did it.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
People are fucking weird.
But I feel like both the ones that the journalist interviewed were connected to the police. So it's like,
yeah.
the police in the 60s?
The popo, not so good.
Which makes sense as why it's unsolved.
Yeah.
Like if they just went, nope, not them, burn all that evidence.
Yeah.
It does make sense that it might be them, him,
Yeah.
that person. But yeah, thank you for listening to the Easey Street one. I don't know where we're going next week because I haven't done the script yet.
I'm also working on some scripts.
I've been so tempted to Google them, but I've had to restrain
Don't Google
myself.
them. Don't Google them.
I've been catching up on Case File as well.
I only gave you the names so that we could make sure we're not crossing.
Doubling up.
Yeah, doubling up because I'm not going to work my ass off to write a script in between work. and then you already done it. And I'll be like, you
No, I didn't recognize any of the names.
Good.
And I was like, I don't want to Google them because then I want to
do not
see if there's a part where I go, oh, that's it.
Do not Google them.
I won't.
I'm working on scripts. It just takes me a little while because I'm also working.
You have a job. I don't.
Because I have to pay for bills somehow. But I'm working on them. So you might hear a little bit more of P-Dog.
P-Dog.
P-Dog's going to throw out some cases soon.
P-Dog, Diddy Dog.
Fucking hell. P Diddy Dog.
P Diddy Dog. Oh, he's in trouble, isn't he?
Oh, who isn't?
Well, yeah. No, we're not talking about you, dog.
No, not Ziggy Dog.
Ziggy's like me. I'm the dog.
Neglecto Dog?
Neglecto Dog.
Not
his little
Neglecto
ears
Dog.
are always like... Does anyone else have a dog that has ears that they're like trying to find a fucking radio station channel?
I thought you meant does anyone else have a dog with ears? And I was going to say, yep, most of
people.
them.
Do you remember that dog years ago? Buckley? And he was found in St. Albans with his ears and tails cut off?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my school oval.
Aww.
And then he went to Lost Dogs Home and my mum worked there. And then Nathan Buckley came and took a photo. And then my mum got a photo for Dan.
Oh.
She goes to Collingwood, as we established
Yeah.
at the start of this.
We did
Full
establish.
circle back to Collingwood.
Sports ball.
Sports ball, Nathan Buckley.
Look at you talking about sports,
Me.
chat.
That's
Look
like
at
when
you.
we get McDonald's and we get the AFL cards. And Jay will try and read them out to me. I have to try and guess them. Like,
Huh?
he'll give me the team. I'm like, couldn't name anyone.
Cannot help you.
I cannot name anyone on sports ball teams.
Sports ball. I
So,
couldn't
a
name
sports ball.
any sports ball stuff other than AFL, like footy. I don't do
Yeah.
any other sports balls. I wouldn't know anything else. So
Yeah, can't do cricket. I got a little bit into the tennis this year.
I went.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That was eventful.
That was an event for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I can't do. But my nan will literally know every play, not just on Collingwood, every player's name, and she fucking yells at them.
I know a lot of players' names, not every player's names, but a lot of players' names, not just Melbourne players. I also
Yeah.
know a lot of Collingwood players because
Yeah,
obviously
obviously.
Burke. Ugh. But I do know a lot of players' names because I love to watch the footy.
Yeah, I can't. Jay does. That's why. No. The football's just around. So, no, I think it's my nan's, her brother's grandson or some shit. Somehow related. But he plays for Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Dylan Bailey?
No,
Something
that
Bailey?
one.
It's not the mullet Bailey. I don't know. There's definitely a Bailey. But thank you guys for listening.
And if you stuck around this long, thanks.
Thank you. And if you stuck around this long,
Stick around for another one.
yeah.
Next time, it might be me.
Do-do-do.
Ooh. You can hear more of this shithole.
Yeah, well, we're doing it this week because I'm fucking sick.
Yeah. Bye.
If I was like, I'm going to plug some shit. If you'd like to buy us coffee to keep us going during all these episodes, you can see the link in our show notes. Or if you'd like to email us, like maybe if you have a case you want to hear, you can email us at DisorganisedDetectives@gmail.com or on Instagram. You can just message us on Instagram.
Also, it's the English
The
spelling,
English spelling,
like the
yes.
British English spelling of disorganized,
With an
not the
S.
American. There's no Z's here.
There's an
Or Z's.
Yeah. Because Jay got tripped up by that. Because when he tried to find it on Spotify, he did Z instead of S.
Why would you do that?
Because he's a fucking
he lives
idiot.
in Australia.
Yeah. But no,
It is the British English
how it's spelled on
spelling.
whatever you're looking at it right now.
Disorganized with an S.
I think our email's in the show notes as well.
Oh, good.
So you just click the link.
I don't control any of that. I just turn up and talk.
Yeah.
I don't do admin.
Yeah. Well, I love admin.
Yep, that's your job. P-Dog just turns up and speaks.
P-Dog just...
I'm rolling with it. It's me name now.
Oh, yes. We will catch you next week.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.